Okay, Kathryn, thanks for joining me to chat about productivity tools and web applications. Can we start by having a rundown of what tools you do use regularly?
Yeah, I've just set up a new PC, so it's really easy because they're the ones that I installed. I use Zotero for my citation management.
Mm-hmm.
I use Evernote non-stop for almost anything I need to create a marking. I use Dropbox to transfer data between applications. I use a number of plugins in my browser, one being LibX, which lets me get the presence of my library into my browser so that something like an ISBN is highlighted. I click on it and see if my library's got it. And delicious tagging, I also put that one on. And then later has come Skype. Later has come, today I downloaded, TweetDeck was one of the first for Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure. I downloaded something else today, but I can't remember what it was. But that, by default, they happen to be. It was very easy to see in voting what it was because they were the first ones I put on my machine.
Sure. So, what about Evernote? What sorts of things do you record in Evernote?
Okay, Evernote. The most recent thing I've done is I'm marking students' assignments, and so I've got a different note. I've got one notebook set up for that assignment, and now I'm marking students' notes. And I'm recording my little comments, which means I can cut and paste among students' notes if they sort of hand in a similar assignment. I possibly can output that as a CSV file and then upload it straight to Blackboard with the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I use it. I use it for recording any tickets that I buy online. I'll put straight into Evernote. If I have a thought, I'll open up Evernote. I have a whiteboard in my office and I take photos of it to record how my thinking's going before I rub it out, and then I'll just upload that straight to Evernote. So anything that I want a bucket for, basically, because it's searchable and it searches in images. So if there's something on my board that I've written about Evernote, for example, and I want to then search Evernote, I can do a search and it will actually bring up search the graphics as well. So almost everything, auxiliary brain.
Yeah, look, I've just started using Evernote and it's filled about 10 gaps in my life. It seems to be doing just all these wonderful things for me, and I've started using it for to-do lists as well, which it is probably imperfect for because there's no reminders, but I think when you're always clicking remind me later, it's not so bad to have something that doesn't send you reminders.
Yes.
What about integration of these things into your workflows? You talked about using some plugins for Firefox. Do you also have apps on your iPhone or iPad for these applications?
Indeed, yep. What you were saying about the to-do list, I use something called Remember the Milk,
yeah.
which we just use it for everything. The shopping list, we'll put stuff on a shopping list and be walking around the markets and then ticking off stuff as we go. I use it for managing the kids' homework. And yes, we've got that across all our devices. So when I'm driving home with the kids, what I'll do is I'll hand them my iPad and say, could you please add things to Remember the Milk? They'll add things to Remember the Milk, and later on I can see what they're meant to be doing with their homework on my iPhone, maybe after they've gone to bed, and then we can follow it through, and I can change some of the dates and put in, you've got to take your bathers that day or something like that. So yeah, absolutely. If it didn't integrate, I think I'd use these a lot less.
And so it's really about life management for you, not just about kind of managing your work life. It's personal for you as well.
Absolutely, and there's not a lot of bleeding in. The annoying thing is something like Remember the Milk, I can only get the one account, or Evernote, I can only get the one account on my iPhone or iPad. But I've got a number of, we've got an Evernote that we do for our family. So if we decide something like, this is the way we divide our toys and this is the way we do our jobs, we'll sort of write it down so that next time the kids are arguing, we can say, it was here. Or if we're planning a holiday, we'll plan holidays and we'll snap websites that are really useful, that type of thing, just put it in there. But I've got my own Evernote notebook on my iPad and iPhone, so I then can't access the family one because the sharing across notebooks isn't really wonderful on Evernote.
Oh,
you
okay.
can do it, but you use your web client.
Right, okay. Yeah, I noticed that the other day. I was looking for a share function and it wasn't there, and so I went to the web and noticed that there was one on the web.
Yeah, and you can export too. So when I left my last job, I was setting up a website for them, and as I was installing anything, making any changes, the reasons why I did stuff that was yet to be developed, I put that all into an Evernote notebook. And then when I left, I exported that, and my co-worker who was taking over the site then imported that as a notebook into her Evernote. And then it was just handed over. And we did it via Dropbox, so I exported up to Dropbox, then shared a file in Dropbox with her, and then she just downloaded it into her Evernote.
Great. And Dropbox is kind of, I guess, like a virtual, box for you to put your content in and then pull it down later.
Absolutely.
And do you find that effective? Have you got any issues with retaining formatting of files across machines, or is this kind of a solution for that?
No, it's a solution. I used it when I was studying. I was doing recording interviews, and what I did is I would put them on my iPhone, and then I'd transfer them to my computer and then to my Dropbox, so that if somebody had stolen my laptop and my iPhone, all my interviews for my thesis would have been up on Dropbox, which, gave me such wonderful peace of mind. So no, I've not had any issues with formats. I've had a couple of times where I've been working with somebody on a very, very big, long PowerPoint, and she's made a change and I've made a change. And so you've got the original copy, and then you've got Kathryn Greenhill's conflicted copy.
Right.
So, so it did. We both saved it up, and it went, don't know, but it tells you very clearly.
And have you made a conscious decision to use Dropbox instead of using web apps like Google Docs?
No, I use Google Docs as well. If I want something cheap, dirty, and one page, so my kids will do their birthday lists in Google Docs, for example, and then share it with us rather than doing it in Evernote. No, I use it more. I never use a thumb drive, and I've got occasions where until today I've had a really rotten PC at work, and so it was hooked up to the printer. So I wanted to print out on the network, but most of my stuff was actually happening on my laptop. So what I would do would be to make a change to something and then send it to my PC. So it was a way of communicating between the two of them.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Kathryn. It was really interesting to hear about how someone else uses these productivity tools, and I'm sure the students will find it interesting also.
Good to hear.
Thank you.